Good evening, friends. Thank you for joining me every evening to follow what's happening in India and abroad. And thank you for sending me your useful comments and suggestions. If you believe in this channel, do share it with your friends and spread the message. Our only mission is to bring you the truth and both sides of the story. Thank you for your support. Today we have MR back with us. Thank you, MR, for coming.
Good evening and nice to be back with you.
Yeah. So, MR, see, we wanted to explore the story behind the yogi from the Himalayas. But before that, I just want to speak briefly about Narayana Rane, okay, and crossfire that he's sharing with the Thakres. So now, Rane alleges irregularities in Thakre's bungalow, and he rakes up the SSR case. The Shiv Sena said it would ask Home Minister Dilip Walse Patel to probe the alleged criminal cases against the Union Minister Rane. After the BMC served a notice for conducting inspections to check any illegal constructions in his bungalow at Juhu, Union Minister Rane launched an all-out attack on Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. Rane alleged that there were irregularities in the second bungalow built by Thackeray family near the Matoshri bungalow in Bandra, which was later regularized by the authorities. He also said that the investigation in depth of the actor Sushant Singh Rajput and his former manager Disha Salian was not over yet and reiterated his allegations that there was a cover-up after the duo's murder. Rane alleged that Matoshri's two new six-story residents of the Thackeray family had irregularities which were regularized after paying penalties during the previous BJP Shiv Sena regime. The building is located near the old Matashri building at Kalanagar in Bandra East.
Yes.
So a lot of things are coming out from Rane, and he has said that he said it very clearly that Disha has been gang raped and she has been killed brutally, and a minister is involved in the death of Sushant Singh. 5 cars arrived on June 13th at his house. He was dragged and he was killed. So he's very explicit. There can't be anything more clearer than that.
Now, see, if he has got this knowledge, I have only 2 issues. I don't know whether I don't go by the politician's statements, because tomorrow Rane may again join Shiv Sena and he will, change his tunes. But I have only one problem with this. If he has a personal knowledge, it is his duty under CRPC to go and take it up with the CBI and provide the necessary evidence. He cannot be sitting tight and giving a press conference about it. And I'm sorry to say if this has happened. I didn't watch this press conference. If he has said so in a press conference, obviously he has said so. The CBI should have immediately summoned him and asked him about the details. I don't know why the CBI is also silent about this. So this is becoming a pattern in the BJP government, that you allege certain things against your political opponents, right from the top persons involved in the government. They just go about talking very serious thing. And just as an aside, let me tell you, the latest one was yesterday. Anurag Thakur has given a press statement about how the Samajwadi Party has links with the bomb blasts in Ahmedabad in 2008. Now, I'm not going into the merits of it. If they are linked, is it sufficient you come on the press conference and say that they were trying to assassinate the former chief minister of Gujarat and the current prime minister? Is that all that you have to do as sitting in the seat of power? Or should you take some actions under law? So whether it is Rane, whether it is Thakur, it all follows a pattern. Just do, hit and scoot, create some noise in the media for the night, and then go back to sleep, because it is business as usual. There is nothing concrete that this government has done in terms of fixing its opponents. It's a very sorry state of affairs. And BJP, I hope and pray that they don't unnecessarily pay a very heavy price for this.
So is this some sort of a election stunt before the the civic elections, that they do this sort of thing?
See, everything is politics, and right through in the middle of the elections, especially when BJP is on a eyeball-to-eyeball contact, as they would say in military parlance, in Awadh region, which goes to polls today, went to polls today. So it is really surprising that they have taken this view and they are going ahead and put a pressure on the Samajwadi Party. It may be politics. So, madam, it may be politics. If they have chosen their time, they are entitled to as a political party. But the larger question is, can you allow somebody to get away just after a press conference, after alleging the seriousness of the issue? The seriousness is there was an assassination linked to the Samajwadi Party.
Yes, yes.
You remember there was a huge hullabaloo about Sonia Gandhi having signed an agreement with the Communist Party in Beijing, and they said Gaddar hai, traitor hai, ye hai, wo hai, and then they kept quiet. So, and the BJP president wanted apology. So you can do anything to the country and then send an apology letter to the BJP president. मुझे माफ कर दो भैया, हमने देश के साथ गद्दारी किया है. I am sorry, I only did gaddari. So please, and the BJP president will also say, okay, since you apologized, everything is set aside. I think this is ridiculous. I think the BJP must know that they are making serious allegations, or if they don't want to pursue the matter, they better not enter into the legal thicket. Don't use legal terms. Keep the country on the boil. Use all the allegations under the CRPC and IPC and tell them that, look, you have done grave crime, and then come to the conclusion that we don't want to do anything. They have got 303 seats in the parliament. They have got enormous powers. They have got agencies under their command, and yet they hit, shoot and scoot. They are not taking the matters to a logical conclusion. That is a very worrying. So Rane is following a pattern. Thakur is following a pattern. For the last 8 years, we are watching this. 2G matters have not come to a conclusion. The National Herald has not come to a conclusion. There are several matters on which BJP just wants to keep the fire in emberic stage. You don't allow it to fully go, and just keep the embers, and on top of it, you create the ashes. But whenever you want to again lit the fire. That will not happen. This is politics by the cheap. I want them to take serious action or withdraw the comments. I don't want the state, the hiatus, to continue.
Yeah. Also, they have not left the case of Samir Wankhede. They seem to be still challenged by this young officer, and they say that he was not of the right age when he signed this bar agreement to have a bar, and now the license has been cancelled. Now, apparently, it seems that they are still scared of Samir's presence. Why are they so scared of him? Now he's moved to another department. Why are they scared of Samir even now?
See, Samir must be having something very serious about the people in the power in Maharashtra. Yes. So he must be completely in having some data, documents, some evidences against the ruling dispensation, and it is very simple that they don't want Wankhede to open his mouth. So the whole thing is to create a balance of terror. Yeah. So you don't attack me so that I don't attack you. And they are trying to see Wankhede must have also done something. See, in the sense, I'm not saying that. So even the smallest thing is blown out of proportion to see whether they can arrive at a balance of terror. And this is how people work. And so that to keep Wankhede's mouth shut, this is how people will work, and this is a classical retaliatory action.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to the Queen and the mysterious yogi. See, it's so strange, Emma, that this brilliant and beautiful lady, could stoop so low, and do such things. Now, many of our viewers don't even know what's happening, except they see that this beautiful woman's face all over the news. So, Emma, with your experience, try to explain to our viewers exactly what happened in the NSE case.
I don't know exactly what happened. If I know exactly what happened, I am a criminal. Please understand. I cannot say that I know exactly what happened.
Okay. Yeah. What I mean, Emma, is that. Yeah.
I understood the drift of your question. I'm only pulling your leg. I have the right to do so. Okay. Now, as
why I'm telling you, Emma, is because Sucheta Dalal has explained it in a very brilliant way. Exactly what has happened.
See,
please.
NSE is something that was born somewhere in the mid 90s. It is one of our premium institutions, one of the largest institutions, and it is a stock exchange which regulates several players in the stock market. So a robust, healthy functioning of the NSE is vital for the capital formation in this country. It is like your nerve center of capital formation. So everything must be transparent, everything must be above board, everything must be beyond questioning, and it is under the direct supervision of SEBI. SEBI is the stock exchange regulator, NSE is the stock exchange. So every single person who is appointed, who acts, who purports to act for that has to have certain pedigree, certain qualifications, certain experiences, and they are privy to so much of information that it is as the cliche goes, Caesar's wife must be above suspicion, holds absolutely true for every single officer of the NSE who's been appointed there. Now, here comes Chitra. Now, this is before I come to the scam per se. Many of us have been of the view. Now, this you don't have direct evidences, but the former finance minister, Mr. P. Chidambaram, used to talk up and talk down the market, because if the finance minister says something about the market goes up or comes down depending on what he says. That is the power of utterances of a finance minister. So, and we always used to joke that one half of Chidambaram is always on the stock market, the other half is on the finances of the country, on the economy and other things. So you always used to wonder what is happening there. Now, this Chitra and Ravi, two characters were appointed and they rose in the hierarchy, and they virtually controlled NSE. Now, why this scam has happened? There is a scam inside the scam, that there is something called co-location scam. Now, Mira, we are speaking through this, I think we are using SteamYard for conversing on this particular evening.
Yeah.
Supposing I also hold my phone to you and talk, you will find that there is a small differences in the voice which I speak. My message will be received by you in differential sounds, in nanoseconds. Now, if to give you another example, if the Prime Minister is speaking and you are watching it in the Doordarshan, which is the primary feeder, and you watch in some other channel, say the Republic, you will see that there is a small difference.
Gap.
It will be 3 to 4 seconds later than the first one. Now, imagine you are in a stock market. You want to buy something from, say, Chennai, and you are seeing that the price of a particular share is 100 rupees. You enter it, and by the time your satellite, it goes to the satellite, and the satellite to the NSE server, it takes some time, which is called latency. The moment you hit the enter button, for the message to go and reach the NSE server, the difference time is called latency. Chitra and others allowed co-location, which is to have servers inside the NSE office itself, which is computerized, which is operated by computers. So this is called algorithm trading. So if I can explain to you that the moment, for example, Reliance comes and says, we are declaring a dividend of, say, 20%, I would have already programmed in the morning that if it declares 20% dividend, buy Reliance share up to 105 rupees. And if it is 100 rupees, by the time I even realize, the first message from NSE to my co-location server goes, and the co-location server, because it is computerized, not human operated, because it's driven by an algorithm, it immediately clicks all shares up to 105. Sitting in Chennai, I look at it, and before I can blink my eyes, the price has gone to 105. So if I say that, okay, so this is technical. This software, this program was done without, the technology was purchased from a company in which Chitra was holding large amount of shares, And 2009 they started it without even informing SEBI. SEBI woke up only in 2016. After 5-6 years, they woke up and they challenged it. And by the time they had to hush it up, because SEBI somehow or the other is like this. Like if Mina does a small mistake, they will give you a big thrashing and say, "Look, we are regulators. We will not tolerate nonsense." But when it comes to NSE, they become a pussy.
Yeah.
They just become a pussy cat, and they say meow meow, and they don't do anything else. And this Chitra's case, they have been completely overlooking her shenanigans for last 10 years. Now come to this. There somebody's woke up again. There are a lot of people who have again and again complained on Chitra to SEBI, and SEBI used to say, these are all okay. We will fine her for 5 lakhs. She cannot do this, she cannot do that. Now suddenly somebody found out in 2016 that Ravi Narayan, who was a consultant, who was given several high posts and very important, shall I say, portfolio to manage. He was a consultant. He was not a key KYC, in the sense he was not a key working, key management personnel, KMC, for NSE. And this Ravi was offered a salary of around 1.6 crores or 2 crores somewhere without HR processes, and she appointed him as a consultant, as an advisor to the MD, and he was making money. Every Friday he used to go to Chennai, he used to come back, he used to have 4-day week. They used to just like that make merry. And so he wrote to SEBI asking for this investigation. The SEBI appointed Ernst & Young, and Ernst & Young came back and gave a report, forensic report and all. And they found, and in that Chitra goes on to say that I was in all my decisions guided by a yogi to whom either the SEBI nor your forensic auditor, namely your Ernst & Young, has not been able to find out digital clues. By the time when she demitted office, she was so careful. She sent all her computers to the as e-waste, and they have destroyed those computers. So there are no evidences, nothing. Of course, it can be traced. Even now, it can be traced. But like all things, BJP is like Alice in Blunderland. They are so innocent. They don't know the scam happening. They don't know the gravity of the scam.
But do you think SEBI was also beneficiary?
SEBI is not a beneficiary, but see, the problem is SEBI was controlled and continues to be controlled by people who have owned their loyalty to Mr. P. Chidambaram repeatedly. This is the allegation that we have repeatedly made. At all times, it has been that people who have been, whether it's Mr. K.P. Krishnan, whether it is the current SEBI chairman, all been perceived by the market. So they don't have to cheat it. They don't really do anything called cheating or indulge in anything apparently false. This is called regulatory capture. When the entire regulator, the market regulator or your institution, everybody is my own person who knows, you don't have to call me also. You don't have to talk to me also. All that they have to, I have to blink my eyes like this, and they are ready to commit sati for me. And that is the level to which regulatory capture has happened. And there is a question also, digital imprints can be recovered. I leave it to why SEBI has not done it? This is the point. Karthik, this is the point.
One question here, MR. They say that wasn't Chitra's appointment itself irregular with no proper processing, and Chitra's husband is with Nifty. So all in a closed loop.
All in the closed loop. I am not going into the nitty-gritties of the scam so much that skeletons are tumbling out by the minute. It is horrendous, to say the least, what is happening in NSE. And I would also put it that look at it this way. What Chitra has done, its NSE board did not know. There is a board meeting. They should have found out why is this guy being paid crores of rupees as a consultant, where other consultants.
Arvind Subramanian.
Yes, Arvind Subramanian was paid in crores, where others were paid 30,000, 40,000. He is the only guy who is in 8 digits. What is he doing? And what was happening? And all these things, nobody bothered, nobody barred, audit committee, and they were stalwarts. And questions are being raised about the NSE board also, about the way they have gone about. Today, people like I just forgot Malegam. Malegam was in the NSE board. He's supposed to be the doyen of chartered accountancy. He sits in RBI board. Look at his competency. And this guy has been repeatedly failing several times over. Yet he is consistently on top of all these boards. SEBI is such an innocent character. He doesn't know anything of what is happening. You take a Babu who has not purchased 1 kilo of potato in his life and put him as a market regulator. He doesn't know what is stock and what is share. And this is the type of incompetent people that we have to suffer. And institutions are failing us repeatedly, that today we have come to a stage where we have to say that stock market investments are subject to market risk, and market is subject to several scams which SEBI will not know. This is how we should actually put it in. I am sorry to say the finance ministry has failed SEBI. SEBI has failed finance ministry, and finance ministry has failed SEBI, and both of them have failed us. The entire country requires a joint parliamentary committee to look into this scam. This is not an ordinary scam. This is not a scam of a few crores or few hundred crores. This will be running into tens and thousands of crores. A joint parliamentary committee headed by a person who understands stock market, technology, economy, who has actually played in the stock market, worked in the stock market, with experts must be called. People like me who have filed PIL in Madras High Court on this collocation scam must be called and asked to depose before them. We will not go on our own volition, because I have gone to that. They must give us sufficient time to explain, understand, and that must be how the whole bureaucracy establishment and cleanse itself of the sin that they have committed for several years. Otherwise, I'm telling, and I'm making a statutory warning, please exit the stock market. It is completely rigged casino. It is not a place for you to make money honestly. You can make money by chance, but the last point I would like to emphasize is, look at it. The last 2 months before this order came, FIIs have exited the stock market to the extent between $8 to $12 billion. That's the numbers that I see. Why are FIIs exiting India? We were asking this question. This order has come in. This order conclusively proves that somebody in SEBI was telling the FIIs something is going to explode. They have exited at 58,000. 60,000 index, and they have dumped all their shares on poor innocent guys. Now it is the headache of the government of India to make to sustain the index at this level. I am sorry to say it cannot be sustained. This is a huge fraud being played in full public glare, unless somebody steps in through a joint parliamentary committee with a honest parliamentarian as its chief. We are not going to see the end of it. This scam will continue.
So, journalist Gopi Krishnan said that, the mountain yogi is actually Chidambaram, and all this has been happening under Sonia Gandhi. So, Sonia Gandhi has been putting high-profile women in such places so that people have a good feel about it, and then these scams happen.
See, 8 years later, there is no point in blaming Sonia Gandhi. First, let us stop blaming Sonia Gandhi, Nehru, Mountbatten, Akbar, Babar, and all these things. We are now in 2022. Let us start blaming the BJP. And if BJP is not competent to handle, and if they find that it's getting hot under the collar, they can jolly well resign and move off. The nation will find its own alternative. So this holy crap, I don't want to get into that. Sonia Gandhi is responsible. Second, having said that, I will say that there is a Chidambara Rahasyam in this, and people who know the story of Lord Nataraja in Chidambaram, it's always said to be in a Rahasyam form. It's a Rahasya. The God in his cosmic form is a Rahasya. Thereby, everything in connected to stock markets, the needle of suspicion will be on Mr. P. Chidambaram. There is a famous saying in Malayalam: if Kichaka has died, the suspicion is on Bhima. Likewise, if something happens in stock market, it has to be P. Chidambaram, needle of suspicion. but it is the duty of the regulator, the enforcing officers, the agencies which have been empowered have to go in, and this scam has to be given to no less than CBI through a properly registered FIR. And if you see, if you send IT after 8 years, Chitra has destroyed everything. Usually, IT comes and says several incriminating documents worth several crores of rupees has been fought. Not a single whisper after the raid. They went in and they came out as pussycats. The whole thing is that we have reached a stage that no evidences will be available. They have not only suppressed evidence, they have destroyed all evidence. Of course, you can try with forensics and see if there is something on the cloud and all those things. That requires a huge political will with a broad chest that we will take the hit on the bullet, we will cleanse the market. During the cleansing, there will be a fall in the stock market, and that is something that we are ready to take. But if you are going to sit like this, the stock market will be a den of all these rogues, and please, middle class people, hardened people, exit the stock market.
Ned is asking you, will MRV take the initiative to file PIL LSC?
See, I have already filed. I have not filed. Somebody has filed. I'm appearing for him in Madras High Court. Let that matter be heard fully. Of course, if you are willing to come to as a petitioner, I'm ready to appear for you gratis.
MRV, see, it's very strange that this kind of relationship between this Subramaniam and the Chitra, because see, the messages that are coming in, from the yogi are that she should, wear her hair in a certain manner, whether she'll be going swimming in, Seychelles, and very, very intimate sort of messages. And do they fly together? I mean, see, since she already has a husband, I mean, is this a boyfriend? What is happening here? Is there some other sort of relationship also happening?
Mina, I will refrain from answering this question for a simple reason. I don't want to get into her personal life. If she wants to have a boyfriend besides her husband, that is her choice, of which I have nothing to say. My only worry is the stock market functioning, especially on the co-location scam, especially on the manner in which the premium stock exchange of the world. Please don't think the NSE is something that is limited to India. It is the biggest vehicle today. 8 crore Indians are having depositories and they are linked to the stock market. And that means 40 crore Indians, assuming a family of 5 per head, we are looking at 30 to 40 crore Indians being linked to the stock market. So stock market is no longer a fringe game. It is becoming the core. It is becoming an important vehicle. Inflation has brought all our savings from banks to almost virtually net of inflation to negative. So we are compelled to invest only in stock market. When that is the stage, when this is what is happening, I am sorry to say that this is not merely it is not for the salacious gossip that will go around her relationship between the Swami and her, and whether she goes swimming with him or with somebody else is none of my business. My business is, please, as a managing director of the stock exchange, did you conduct your affairs properly in a manner that would befit a managing director of the premium stock exchange of the country? The answer is no. And if you are going to take day-to-day orders for somebody, and you are also, see, it is not that he is giving you advices, you are also passing on the most important things on the functioning of the stock market to the other side. This, if any board member had done it to anybody else in an ordinary listed company, he would come under FUTP, fraud and unfair trade practices. They would have taken him for insider trading. They would have questioned him on several other things. So the question, therefore, is what are we doing going to answer these questions? These are the fundamental things. SEBI should have straight away slammed her on FUTP and insider trading. But SEBI says, oh, these are all things, these all things happen as if these are all very common things, and they have let her go. My grouse is not with Chitra or with Ravi. My grouse is with SEBI. SEBI has let us down. SEBI has become a nonsense organization. It requires serious investigation. Why SEBI is functioning? What I will tell you why Chitra was left out. Chitra was left out because the people who compelled Chitra also compelled SEBI to go soft on Chitra. So there is a triumvirate. There is somebody sitting on top. There is somebody here in NSE. There is somebody here sitting in SEBI. SEBI will exonerate Chitra because somebody on top. What is the guarantee? There is no yogi or the same yogi not directing SEBI to let go of Chitra. That is the question we must ask.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
who will ask this question?
Yeah. Another question is, nobody knew of the existence of Arvind Subramaniam. He was appointed, nobody knew about him at all. But the strange thing is that all the matters had to be decided only by him and then go to Chitra. Now, this man's salary goes it jumps up every, at every stage. And he enjoys a three-day week, a work week. And if he gets another 2 days, then he's paid double the salary for that. And he's somewhere else in the country in those 2 days. Now, the words used for these two people are like, nicknames for Chitra and for Arvind Subramaniam. As though they are the best pals of the yogi. Now, how come? I mean, you say that they can't be caught. When you know that Arvind Subramaniam is a part of it, how come
I never said they can't be caught. I never said they can't be caught. I said they won't be caught. There is a difference between the two. Because the system is so driven by these type of scamsters that people who want to know the functioning of stock markets are not there in the establishment. Otherwise, co-location scam would not be there for 10, 12 years and central government has done nothing, and of which 8 years is of the Modi government. 8 years of Modi government, a scam continues, which is much bigger than probably the 2G scam continues right under the nose of Modi. May not know it, but Modi cannot shirk the fact it is his responsibility to see that the stock market functions in a robust manner. The blame will
should Nirmala Sitharaman have been aware of it?
Well, if they are unaware, they are damned. If they are aware and they have not done anything, they are doomed. So it is a very tragic story that till date we have. I don't, and Ravi Parsardi, the previous MD who was also a participant in this co-location scam, has fled to London. I'm told he's in London. So it is a matter of time. Chitra will also leave this country. Because the courts will not allow her passport to be frozen just because you and I don't like her. There has to be a solid evidence. There has to be some solid paperwork. An FIR has to be registered. You have to take the matter to a logical conclusion. Issue arrest warrants. It's a process, and one process goes amiss, then they will be engaging the Kapil Sibals of the world, the P. Chidambarams of the world, and get bail, and they just happily fly off. So the government lacks the machinery, competency, integrity, and the honesty. All four are missing in this government in terms of dealing with this. I am charging this government very seriously. I am very upset with this government.
Karthik is asking, is it the appointment of the office of SEBI selected by a proper HR process, or is it directly government appointed?
SEBI does come from SEBI members, SEBI chairman all come from government. Of course, there are other members of officers of SEBI, which is through the normal route, which recruitment happens. So that is how it is.
Maya is asking, MRV, could you tell the role of Arvind Subramaniam and his clout in NSE and how it increased from a mere advisor to CTO?
It is not only CTO. I think he was much more. He became virtually the brain of overall. He was running NSE. And if SEBI papers or orders are to go by, he was previously employed by Balmer Lorry for an annual package of 15 lakhs. Now, a 15 lakh guy takes 10 to 15 times jump under Chitra, not as a full-time employee, but as a consultant. And I think Sucheta Dalal also pointed out that there is no digital imprint of this guy at any place of doing anything. See, M.R. Venkatesh, as a lawyer, you can find out how many cases he has appeared, where he has been successful, where he has been a failure. As a chartered accountant, what all I have done. You know what all I have done as a student of economics, what books I have written. There is a digital imprint. Likewise, yours, we can find out. You can probably say 10 times I have done after doing 8 times. So you can get that 5-10% of leverage. But can you say that I'm running BBC? You can't, because today's world, we know what you are and what you are not. So it is as simple as that. The point here is this guy had no digital imprint either in Instagram, in any of the other social media, where we could point out as to what was his special qualification that could warrant a salary or a remuneration or a package equivalent to 2 crores. And it is not this merely, please understand, my grouse is that it is not merely something to do with a few crores of rupees of salary. It is that he had privy to the functioning of the stock market and they were all participant to this co-location scam. And that means the stock market lacks integrity. Integrity and transparency is the cornerstone on which the stock market functions, and that has been completely dynamited, and for which the finance minister and finance ministry has to hold themselves accountable, and they have to heads must roll. People must get arrested. People must be taken to the cleaners. Unless that happens, these guys will be accessories to the crime post the crime.
So here, MRV, in a strange way, I feel the person who coined the word Hindu terror, okay, wants to also coin the word Himalayan yogi.
Maybe we don't
The
know.
attack is on our religion anyway, and our sages.
Could be, but
Yeah,
but
because
see,
all that people like the print Shaker is speaking about is all, the divine force and all that. So they're trying to, in other words, mock our religion as well. When very clearly it is connected to Sonia Gandhi and P.C. Chidambaram and all that, it's all coming out from various journalists. Okay, so these two words, Hindu terror and this thing has, because if
but,
you look at
but
the communication, what they say is that my blessings and this thing and all that, there is something very, very well calculated and done to malign people. Why couldn't it have been the prophet or someone? It could have been prophet calling or something like that. It could have been, isn't it? So that's
they,
another thing. And here is a question from Usha. She says, finance ministry knew it. Without their help, they couldn't have pulled it out.
no, I don't know whether finance ministry knew it or not. If that's why I said if they knew it, they are doomed. If they didn't know it, they are damned. So either ways, it doesn't speak very highly about the finance ministry, and this is a very sorry state of affairs in the country. And unfortunately this has happened, and this will be much bigger, 10 times bigger than Rafale, 10 times bigger than your 2G scam, on which I have a very strong view that unless somebody steps in and stems the rod, this will come to haunt us very badly.
Yeah. Ned is saying, great interview. Hope somebody will watch from PM's office and bring it to Namo's attention.
Yeah, I hope that the Honorable Prime Minister is fully briefed, but I have no faith in this bureaucracy and judiciary at the administrative level, because they would ensure that this whole thing is timid. It's not judiciary. When I said judiciary, I meant the administrative judiciary. They have to look into it. They have no business in stemming this whole thing, but they will do it very successfully. This has happened several times over, and they will do it at all times, because this government lacks the finishing ability. They don't go about finishing their opponents.
Chitra is saying, Emma, since these people are from Chennai, what is the Chennai think tanks saying?
I don't know what is Chennai think tank, and
People like you.
I'm not in Chennai, as you know. I'm in Delhi. Currently, today also I'm in Delhi. So I would only say something. This is not something to be trivialized as Chennai's problem or Mumbai's problem or a financial sector's problem. This is an economic problem. It's a scam of gargantuan proportions. It cannot be wished away. It cannot be sidelined. Yes, the email address was also very funny.
Yeah, how much they make fun. Rig, yeah, for Rig Veda. Yeah.
I don't know why Atharvana Veda was missed out, but this is how it
Very
is.
cunning people.
Yeah, very cunning, very, very diabolical people. So I only wish that this government takes up, because if it does not do, I think we just forget Indian economy for some time.
Yeah. And also, what I heard from these interviews is that, see, NSE has always had a very superior, attitude, and nobody could question them as though they were the authority on everything. And everybody was scared to even question this lady. Now, one thing I don't understand, Amar, see, you and I pride ourselves, for our ethics, our morality, our values. How did this lady not fear that, like many others?
See, unless you are given the promise that protection will be there at all stages,
Ah, okay.
that SEBI will not touch you,
Yeah.
Finance Ministry will not know about you, RBI will not question you, CBI will not know about you, ED will not interfere in you. That type of complete package is given to her. That is where I feel this government has failed, because this has happened right under their nose.
Hmm.
And this is what worries me. And
See,
and SEBI took 6 years
yeah,
after this complaints were made to come to a conclusion.
yeah.
So
Shobha,
she knows very well that nothing will happen to her,
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
because she has been assured. And
yeah.
who can give the
She's got
assurance?
the reassurance.
Who can give the assurance? The assurance cannot be given. I'm sure this has not been given by this government. This
Hmm.
should have been given only by somebody who is not within the government, but it has been given. And if that has happened, it tells you the quality of the way governance is run in this country. And if it has been given by these people, God forbid, if it has been given by the present dispensation, it is still worse.
Despite the fact that, see, that day P. Chidambaram was dragged from his house to jail, you know, this man seems absolutely shameless.
See, Chidambaram is a person who has lived through his life in Delhi. He has been one of the most powerful persons in this country, and thereby there has been only allegations on Chidambaram several times over. And despite having two consecutive full-time majority in the Lok Sabha, apart from that 110 days of incarceration that they had somehow or the other managed, the Aircel Max's case is still in limbo. In 2G, he has been let off. In other matters, things are going away. So the man who was called the fountainhead of corruption by these BJP people has found the most happy period in the last 8 years, because none of them have been coming to touch them, so, or haunt him, which is what it should have been there. So my view is that Chidambaram is very happy with the current dispensation.
Shobha is saying, serious failing of the BJP and Nirmala Sitaram. She should resign. Where is the so-called Yogi's IP address? It could be Pakistan or China. Why was Chitra's laptop sent, not sent, perhaps, not sent for recycling prematurely?
Recycling.
Yeah.
All these questions only Chitra can answer. I don't think so. It comes to a stage where the finance minister has to resign. But the finance minister has to understand that the scam is now laid directly at the finance minister's door. So why did you allow Tyagi to continue? What is it the SEBI is doing? What is it the SEBI has taken action after this report? Why is it has allowed this scam to fester for several years? What has happened to co-location? Today, every single spokesperson of the BJP comes and talks so eloquently about the co-location scam. But tell me, has the government registered this CBI case? No. And it has been registered by a private person called Palaksha. And that man is pursuing it. It has been done by my client who has done this. So all those things, we are taking it up. We are providing all these things. And courts are, for last 2-3 years, it's dysfunctional. For them, the courts, it is very difficult to explain what is a co-location scam, and that is not their priority. And they say, okay, if it is happening, it's happening. There is a regulator, and SEBI comes and says everything is honky-dory, and the courts also say, oh, look, SEBI says everything is okay, so what we can do about it? We don't want to interfere when there is a regulator. We can't say regulatory capture. We can't tell to the court, we can do it in a candid in a show, and we can be candid about it. But regulatory capture is the core of the issue, which only government can tackle, and the government refuses to tackle.
Also, Emma, this money is indirectly reaching where it has to reach.
See, all those are, it must be reaching where it has been reaching. What is happening is all very funny, very fuzzy, no evidences. When we can't even have
because
the
clearly in the letters, emails, it has been said that this much money will go to Yogi. Okay,
see, all those things are all available. But what that is only the tip of the iceberg. There is something seriously wrong in the way stock market is functioning. This whole yogi thing, I'm not ready to believe.
Yeah,
It is
absolutely.
something far deeper, sinister. In
Yes.
fact, CBI must be called in. If SEBI has any sense of shame, it must forthwith take serious action on Chitra. If government has any morality left, it must press on the co-location scam with CBI and see that these matters are taken to a logical conclusion through a proper forensic audit by people who are trained in it, including the forensic lab people must be pressed into service, and we must collect all evidences and nail these people. Chitra's FIR must be registered and matters taken to a logical conclusion. But I am pretty sure, cocksure, this will not happen.
Maya says, but the RBI governor also seems to be lacking any vigor in tackling the finance mess. Shakti Kanta, as RBI government, is functioning rudderless.
Now, yeah, I can say that the RBI is also clueless about what is to be done. And unfortunately, this government's ability to take the services of incompetent people and put them in the highest post is legendary. And that's a price that we have to pay. I have nothing more to comment on this.
Yeah. Meera says, SEBI officials who cooperated were given flats in Kohinoor Society in Kurla. Manohar Joshi of Shiv Sena says that.
Yes, you are talking about, I think, Abraham, who against whom I had the pleasure of appearing once, and he called me at 5 o'clock, and I argued till 9 in the evening, and I was completely drenched in the month of August. I remember it was August 10th, 2009, if I recall correctly, and I had to argue for 4 hours, and they had switched off the AC also to see that I would go home, but I would not, and I continued to argue. So this presentation or this flat at Kohinoor by this Shiv Sena Manohar Joshi is all well known. In the last 10 years, 12 years, we all know about it. The only thing is nobody is there to take action. This is again coming back to the same thing. The will to take action is sadly missing.
Maya saying, Chidambaram, with his stints in finance, commerce, and home ministries, must be knowing the ins and outs of the Babus with weak links in these places for him to orchestrate the whole scam.
Absolutely, yeah, this is my point also. There is that I fully agree with you, and I concede that yes, there's very much a possibility that Chidambaram has got deep links with several officers because he was the home minister. He must be having some links with IB, RAW. Even today, he must be having links with several bureaucrats. Think of it, this man has been a minister consistently from Narasimha Raw's government in 91. So he began his career in 91. He straight away went into the Fairfax scam. Within 2 years, he was compelled to resign as the minister in the Union cabinet because he was involved along with his wife in the Fairfax scam. So, but he has never gone out of circulation. He has been a quintessential Latvian Delhiite. He has been hobnobbing and he has been building up his relationship. And there was, I don't know, old timers will bear me out on this. There was sufficient hint in early 2000, somewhere around between 98 and 2002, that he would even join the BJP. And thanks to the then president, he did not enter BJP. But he would have even, there were talks and people were dabbling about it. And there were several people were flaunting it that they were trying to bring the intelligentsia of the Congress into the BJP. But luckily that did not happen. And then in 2004, he did not contest from a Congress ticket. Can you believe it? He contested from a Tamil Manila Congress ticket, if I recall correct. And then he wins his seat in Shivaganga. Then he goes on to become the finance minister of this country. Then, as they say, rest is history. And these are all things that has enabled him. Even today, he can get away with so many things because of his clout.
Yeah.
But there is no point in lamenting. You have again and again come to it. 303 seats, 8 years of power. If you're not able to dismantle, then it is a sorry state of affairs.
Yeah, Ned is saying, MRV, do you think there'll be a negative effect on stock market because of this scam? I'm worried about my investment.
Technically speaking, this should have been a very big impact on the stock market. But it is in nobody's interest to allow the stock markets to fall. So everybody collectively have decided that nothing has happened, so nothing will happen. But investors are pulling out. Foreign investors, for some reason, they have come to know about it, and now I can sense it very clearly. The last 2 months have uh, taken away their money out of this country. They have said it on tapering of the U.S. Federal Reserve. They may hike the interest. They may do all those things which will create an imbalance in the local economy. Then they talked about Russia invading Ukraine. All these things are fine, but today, if you look back retrospectively and start analyzing it, it looks pretty clear that the FII's exit is also warranted or is created by this order. Potentially, they must have got the ears somewhere down the line. They must have understood that SEBI is going after these guys, so they have exited. So, but SEBI has, barked, but has refused to bite. So the whole process, the criminal process, has to start. There has to be insider trading, and as I said, FUTP provisions have to be brought in. That corporate governance has completely been failed. Independent directors have reduced themselves to a joke in this organization. So all these things have to be put in place, and that is how we should set right this. As far as your question is concerned, stock markets should have gone down, but it has not gone down the last week itself after this order. And why it has not gone down, I think you should thank your stars. And if you think you have made enough money out of your investment, my personal advice would be to get out.
Yeah. Maya is asking, would not Urjit Patel have tackled this problem differently if he had continued? If so, then it is a pity India's finance sector is lost.
See, Urjit Patel was not in the SEBI. He was the RBI governor. And one man doesn't make too much of a difference unless you are a session to an to the election commission. You then create a difference. If you are going to be a mere file pusher somewhere or whatever you are, then there's no big difference between having Twiddly Dum and Twiddly D. So that's where it is. So Urjit Patel was in RBI. Urjit Patel would not have changed the situation unless he should have taken it out on himself, said, I'm ready to cleanse the system. No bureaucrat would ever come and occupy an office and disturb the system. They are there to see that they remain for 3 to 5 years, go about making some motherhood statements here and there, and then go back to sleep. That's all.
Martin is asking, why is mainstream media not reporting this?
Mainstream media has reported this, but they have only looked at the salacious, relationship between Chitra and others, which is not my botheration. I care two hoots about what she does after her office hours, as long she's straight and honest. The issue is more important is $1 billion of money is being traded in the country every day during the stock exchanges. If the person who is handling that lacks integrity, I'm not talking about personal integrity, I'm talking about official integrity.
Yeah.
And that is lacking, then we are close to chaos, crisis, and a banana republic.
Now, see here, a candid question, Emma. See, how is it that they select, very people who look very sort of sincere, who are very bright, very intelligent, to become a part of these scams? Because they are so 100% sure that it will be done in the way a Chanakya can do it.
When you said bright, intelligent, all those qualified, I thought you were referring to me. Then I realized you are not referring to me, you're referring to somebody else. Now, as far as this is concerned, Chitra, you understand, the most bright amongst us, the talented amongst us, is not ready to compromise, and that is what would enable you to become the MD of NSE or go beyond a point. As the great poet Kannadasan used to write. He says, புத்தி உள்ள மனிதர் எல்லாம் வெற்றி காண்பதில்லை, வெற்றி பெற்ற மனிதர் எல்லாம் புத்திசாலி இல்லை. Meaning, if you are intelligent, it is no guarantee that you will be successful. And if you are successful, it is no guarantee that you are intelligent. So, point I'm making is, there is several things that go over and above to being your successful, your contacts, your godfather, how much you are ready to compromise, how much you are ready to yield, and how much you stick for rules, your passion, your values, how much you are ready to dilute, and how far you are ready to go out of the way to help others in their way of doing things. So all these things matter, and that is what I would say is crucial here.
I don't know whether this is something relevant, but Chitra is saying, is this reason why Baiju is want to list in the New York Stock Exchange? How will this affect future IPO of many startups?
See, I don't know why Baijus don't want to list in Indian Stock Exchange. They want to go to New York Stock Exchange. I'm not privy to it. I will not comment probably. But there is no that doesn't reflect on the Indian Stock Exchange. Indian Stock Exchange have several reasons to be looked into it, and they we can look into it and talk about it. Chitra is one great example about it. So we have to answer this question as to why this has happened in our public life repeatedly. A nation which is otherwise spiritual, which is always God-fearing, which always values systems, has unfortunately, in fact, I wrote a piece somewhere in 2009. The title of the piece, I remember, The Confessions of a Finance Professional. And I had said this, that there is no values in our system at all. There is no values in our system, and that is what is worrying for me, especially when people rise to the top. They must put themselves to greater scrutiny, and this is what is seeing. We are seeing that this is collapsing. That is worrying for me as a nation.
Yeah, that is saying sung by J.P. Chandrababu and composed by
Yes.
MSV of Kannadasan.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to. It's a great song. Always I keep telling to my office colleagues and several people that the one is not a guarantee for the other.
Yeah. Meena says, bright, intelligent, be dumped. Greed, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts. Absolutely. And also here, see, what Karthik says is very true, because see, earlier people used to say Chidambaram is a very intelligent mind, perfect for finance. He's saying, PC, what a colossal wastage of talent for all the wrong things.
Absolutely. See, one is not jumping the gun and blaming PC, but needle of suspicion is always on PC. And this government, somehow for reasons best known to them, have been soft on all those Congress leaders who have been highly corrupt or alleged to have been corrupt by themselves. It's not M.R. Venkatesh was said these are all corrupt. The whole BJP's top leadership has repeatedly said Sonia Gandhi is corrupt, Chidambaram is corrupt, Manmohan was compromised, about CWG, CG, this 2G matters, several scams that are defense scams. But till date, several FIRs too have not been registered. They just want to milk the cow and nothing more than that. And therefore, then corruption is only a rhetoric. Fighting corruption is only a rhetoric. In fact, the Prime Minister has never uttered the word corruption in the last 3-4 years. I don't recall that he will fight corruption, or for him, there is absolutely no corruption. I can say with immense pride that the cabinet ministers don't take money. They are not corrupt. But anything less than the ministers, everybody is absolutely reeking of corruption, and this government doesn't talk about that. That is, I don't have to deal with the cabinet ministers day in, day out. I deal only with the babus, I deal with the clerks, I deal with the secretaries, I deal with the joint secretaries, and either the work doesn't get done or it is getting done only on payment of money. So this is the state on which we are fighting corruption. So the Prime Minister has to intervene decisively, and it is an acid test for him that Chitra's scam is no ordinary scam. It has now come up to North Block, and he has to fight it out.
So Karthik says, if this inaction or inactivity continues, BJP will not get a good mandate in 2024, leave alone sweeping it.
See, that is too difficult. This has not become for a scam to enter the political theater. We have seen scams in say 92, 2001. We have seen several stock market scams. We have JPC about stock market scams. JPCs have gone about it. They have commented about it. But see, what happens is nothing comes out concretely, because people who actually are into this JPC, into other mechanics, are people who don't understand stock markets in such great detail, and especially when it's mounted on a technology. So it is not merely people who understand stock markets. Lack of understanding technology is a big impediment to finding out the culprit. So whether this will translate into a proper popular slogan, whether this will create a type of situation like 2000 was created arising out of 2G scam, it's too early to say. This is not at massified, this is at a very classified scam. This is into a particular area. So BJP, but I agree with you one thing, the BJP should not take it lightly, and there are well-intending people within the BJP, and they should look into this scam as some sort of a serious scam, and they should at the earliest see that the culprits are booked, and they can hold their head held high, and they can say there is complete cleansing of the stock market. But this will be a very painful process. Cleansing of the stock market will be very painful. Stock markets will come down, people will exit, there will be huge chaos, but it has to be done. The more you wait for doing this, it will create that much a bigger scam, and the day it explodes, and God knows what will explode in 24. And if this is built up, if they don't do anything, something bigger explodes in February 24, 2 months away from the election, you would find egg all over your face. At the end of the day, you may have omelette on your face.
So what is your advice to the Prime Minister?
I have nobody to advise the Prime Minister.
Yeah, but whatever. Yeah.
I would only say, please see that the stock market scam is addressed pronto. Don't allow it to fester. It has festered for too long. And don't allow it to be handled by amateurs. The probe should not be handled by amateurs. Your SEBI is failing you significantly. There are buffoons out there in SEBI who don't understand stock market. Get outsiders and ask them how to do it. They will tell you how this has to be done. Otherwise, we will be cutting a very sorry figure.
So on that note, thank you so much, Amavi, for another beautiful session, and clarifying a lot of the doubts that people had about this case, and who the actual culprit perhaps will be. So connecting the dots will soon come.
Hopefully.
Yes. Okay. So thank you so much, Emma, and wish you a very happy weekend. Good night.
Yeah. Thank you, Meena. Thank you.